Hi friends! Today we're looking at the work of Mary Cassatt. She was a painter who came from an area very near to us here in New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Just like when we talked about Georgia O'Keeffe, it was unusual for women to become artists as their job, but that is exactly what Mrs. Cassatt wanted to do. She moved to France where she spent most of her life living and working, and she worked with other artists there. Her paintings show mothers and children in their home life, something that I think we can all relate to right about now. I love the warmth that I feel when I look at the paintings of Mary Cassatt. How did they make you feel? Today we're going to be working from Mary Cassatt's painting, The Child's Bath. I have it up here. We're going to be just focusing on this area with the pan and the little girl's feet, the water inside the pan, and the ring around the pan. Now, I know it might look strange that this is how she's having a bath, but in those days, there weren't bathtubs and indoor plumbing. So this is how children took their baths. Can you imagine what that was like? The moms would bring water in these jugs and pour it into these big basins, and that's how the children would take their baths. Imagine if it was that complicated for us now while we're indoors. So this is what we're focusing on today. For this project, you will need 2 pieces of paper, your scissors, a small glass of water, paintbrushes, watercolor paints, and your art set. If you can, anything like this will be fine. I would love it if you could find some crayons, but I actually used some colored pencils too, because I didn't really like how these crayons were working out. Hopefully we're going to be able to find some better looking crayons this afternoon. So let's get started. First, we're going to start making the outside circle of the basin. So if you remember from class, when we make a circle, it's more like an oval shape. So we're going to make one dot on one end, another dot across the paper on the other end, and then a dot on the shorter end. That helps to give us a little bit of a reference as to how big and round our oval will be. Then so we've connected our dots. Now the inside of the basin, if you'll notice on the painting, the color of the pink is very small here on the inside edge, and it gets thicker on the outside, right underneath the child's legs. So the part that's closest to you, you're gonna just leave that the way it is. That'll be your smallest edge. And then the part farthest away, we're gonna make that the widest part. So we're gonna just make a little line. Yeah. So we have our guidelines. Now remember, I know we're all in preschool parents, so it's quite all right for these to be general things, general guidelines. Don't worry, they don't have to be perfect. So even if your child wants to go ahead and start right in with the color, that's quite all right too. The only thing that I want your children to be doing is talking about art, experiencing the process. So now that we have our basic shape of our basin, grab a pink crayon. Now, I was not happy with the crayons, as I mentioned, so I went ahead and I used a pink colored pencil. A crayon will be better, and that's because we're going to be using watercolors in the center. But use your pink crayon and just fill in the outside edge. Again, if your child wanted to go right ahead and start in with the crayon, making the circle with the crayon, that's fine too. It's all good. So color in your outside edge with your pink crayon. After the pink is all colored in, you can take your pencil if you would like to indicate the line at the edge of the white ring and follow right underneath your pink line. Again, keeping it small right up in the front. And then I made the bottom of the bowl here. Doesn't have to be, maybe my older children would want to start that. But the main thing is that we get the pink circle. But if you notice, there's a white rim inside. I want my children to notice about parts of the painting. Take your white crayon and color the inside edge. Having the white there is going to help to make a barrier for our watercolor, so that when the watercolor comes right up, it's going to help stop it and keep it from running into the rest of the painting. So we color the white edge right along. Don't forget the small part right in front of the bowl. Now when you look at the original painting, there are many different colors in the water. It's not just straight blue. You can see there's some gray in there, there's some white, there might even be a little bit of green. And this is something we talk about in class. Look for the other colors that are there, and that's what gives your paintings depth. So we're going to take our watercolor brush, first dip it in the water, and then you're going to pick your colors. So we're going to dip in the water, and we're using just cake watercolors, basic cake watercolor. After your brush is wet, you dip, you wipe on your cake, make sure you have the paint all over the end of the brush, and then bring it right over here. We're going to first start by going along the outside edge of our circle. And you'll notice that that white crayon just stops the paint from running. So we're going to start by going around the edge. I love my children to start noticing edges, and depending on their age, they're certainly not going to be doing it right away. Not a big deal. All right, again, kids, when you are taking your next dip of color, always dip in the water first, and then onto the color, and then back to your paper. So water, color, paper, water, color, paper, before every bit of color goes on. I'm going to put a little bit of gray so that it gives our water some depth. We don't need a whole lot. But remember, when we've talked about in class adding dark colors, it helps to show that something goes deeper. And I think we could use a little bit more green in this. So I'm going to clean my brush, dip, take a little bit of green. That green doesn't show up very well. Let's try a different one. There we go. While your watercolor is drying, you can take your child's feet, have them stand on the other piece of paper, and then with your pencil, just trace around their feet. All our little kids love doing this with their hands and feet. After they step away, help them to draw their toenails in. and their toes, or you let them do it themselves. Then have them color in with their crayons, or they can paint them as well. Color in the feet flesh color, or whatever. They could be green or purple or whatever color they want to make their feet. And then while we are coloring these and then cutting them out, our watercolor is drying. I've cut out the feet and I'm putting them in the water. I also went ahead and just colored around the bowl so it's not sitting on a white background. You can leave that up to your children, of course. If you look at the painting, they're red and blue and orange around from the rug. Good luck with your piece inspired by Mary Cassatt, A Child's Bath. I can't wait to see your work.